Sharia in Nigeria, SCSN, has cautioned the federal government and the National Assembly against rushing constitutional amendments to establish state police, saying wider consultations are needed before any final decision is taken. In a statement issued on Sunday and signed by its Secretary General Nafiu Baba Ahmed, the council said it had been closely monitoring the national debate and legislative process on state police, describing the proposal as having far-reaching implications for justice, national unity and the country's future. The council also said although Nigeria's worsening insecurity required urgent action, state police should not be presented as a quick fix to the country's security challenges. Joining us on the show to discuss the Supreme Council for Sharia's disagreement with state police, arguing that it's too hasty, is Ustaz Abubakar Siddiq Mohammed, Assistant Secretary General, Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria. Good morning and you're most welcome to the morning show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you for joining us. But, before you joined us, we had the Secretary of the National Police Working Bill joining us from the presidency. And the whole objective of that group is to ensure that, yes, justice is ensured and that every Nigerian's interest is represented, and we have a framework that promotes national unity. But where you are speaking for the Supreme Council of Sharia in Nigeria, does your group have any specific objections to the idea of state police beyond, the protest that it should not be rushed? What are your specific grievances? More so when you consider the fact that some of the states, have said, okay, whether it is Sharia police or Motekun or whatever group should also be, considered in designing the framework. What are your specific grievances?
We are not against state police. We are not opposed to it. We are opposed to, as you have said in your introduction, rushed, unguarded, and unaffordable state police. We are opposed to a constitutional amendment that is rushed, that alters, changes the Nigeria security architecture, but in a way that is devoid of national consensus. We are against presenting state police as a magic cure for deficiencies, failings that will simply be reproduced at the state level. This is the position of the council, and on that, we have released the statement that you have referred to.
All right. Thank you very much.
So these are our grievances.
Okay, thank you. So you don't have a problem with state police in itself, just the time frame or there's a perception that it's being rushed, which has been shared by a number of people. If I were to play just an advocate, the reason why there's an urgency, the word urgency has been used, is due to the urgency in the state of insecurity that's plaguing Nigeria, hence the need for a rejigging of the security architecture. If your call is that it's now being rushed, what alternatives in the interim would you prefer to tackle these levels, increased levels of violence across local communities in the country, many of which affect some of your members and communities?
Of course, our members are affected, and severely so. Lives are lost, and the number is growing by the day, by the minute. But rushing to devolution is not the answer to the problem. Our problem is in the structure that is obtained in the current setting of the force, and lack of professionalism, lack of training, lack of training, professionalism, and recruitment process. So it's not that these problems cannot be solved. Yes, they can. So we should not rush into diversification, devolution, without addressing the problem. Because if you don't address the problems now, and you replicate them to other states, we're talking about 36 states. If you do not address them, you do not look at the problems that we now have in the force, and you take them to states, you are not addressing the problem. You are not solving the problem. You are relocating the problem to other places, and they will continue.
Do you feel that,
So
sir?
it is not that...
Sir, would you then say that? I mean, we
Yeah.
just had Mr. Mogalu from, like Dr. Bati had referred to, National Policing Bill Committee. Do you feel that this opportunity as stakeholders to contribute to the process would give you that voice to ensure that these concerns that you have raised will be, adopted and integrated into the final bill? That's the National Policing Bill, which provides operationalizing. So I'm saying that you've expressed these concerns. Do you feel that the National Policing Bill, which is being drafted currently, and there's been a call for inputs by many stakeholders, do you feel that this presents an opportunity for your group to contribute to the process?
Yes, it is. It is an opportunity, but if you present a memorandum, if you present a position, it's left for those who are receiving those documents to select what they want. In this type of exercise, transparent public hearing is what is needed, which has not been done. It has not been done. So there has to be the process of having people come, make presentations, and say their minds to whatever committee is said. Not only a written document, but there has to be public hearing to that effect.
Okay. But with due respect, sir, yes, I support you on the timeline thing. But people are also making the argument that shouldn't we also do this quickly, to be able to get some lives saved? I mean, that's some argument. And in as much as I support you,
it's not...
No, hang on a minute, sir. Let me finish my line of thought.
Acting.
Let me, in as much as I support you, I don't understand your argument. Because what you're asking for and your argument, honestly, between you and I, sir, seems very impractical. Because if you are waiting for the fundamental problems in the police force to be solved before this bill is passed, the problem of culture, the antecedent risk that it will bring, it will never come. Those are problems that will take us many more years of retraining and reorientation. It's never just going to be solved. That's why I say the argument looks very impractical. I mean, you could give a rebuttal, but to me, to my mind, the argument looks impractical. Make me see it another way.
Why? Okay.
Go ahead, sir. Can you make me see it in another way?
Yeah, I'm missing you.
Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, please go ahead, because I missed you.
I said
about 3 or so
the argument
seconds,
of trying to fix the problems in the police force before the timeline of the bill, to my mind, is very impractical, because these are cultural problems that have happened over a period of time. Solving them is going to be a stretch. So, but make me see otherwise. Make me see the practicality of solving these problems before the bill is passed.
What is to be done? Are we to correct the deficiencies that we already have now within the force, or to take them to 36 states? We have to solve these problems that we have now. The personnel itself, we are talking about less than 400,000 police officers, 800,000. To serve about 236 million or more Nigerians. So there are issues that we have to look at. The remuneration of in the police force, the aspect of corruption. These are so serious issues. There are so serious issues that you cannot just go to the state.
Solved now.
You have to, of course, life is important, and part of Islam's aim is to protect life and property. It is also a constitutional one. So we have to strengthen what we have, to make it better, to avoid what we have been seeing all along, before we can take these problems to the states. Because taking the problems to the states will create more problems. We will end up losing more lives than we are currently. Because even the regional police arrangement that we have seen privately established has its own problems. One of those regions' police arrangement or private security arrangement is linked to about 11 or so deaths from 2022 to 2025.
Okay, sir.
So that is there. And even before then, how can you contain or protect the state police from the control of the governors?
Okay,
So it's
sir.
only here yeah.
Sir, see, with
I'm
due
listening.
respect, again, all these things you're saying, with due respect, it's not practical because, like I said before, these problems you've enumerated, we have all agreed on them, but they can never be solved. It's either we don't do state police or we go ahead. So I would like to ask, the problem you probably have is with devolution, right? It's the devolution idea you don't like. And that's the problem. So it's not all these attendant problems with it. I just want to get clear. It's the devolution. It's the devolution that is the suspect
Not only
here.
that, but even the process itself, even the way the National Assembly has handled it, the
Valid.
statement we have issued is very clear. It's very clear. The process is faulty itself.
Valid.
Because there was no genuine national consensus on this. The opportunity for citizens to say their minds on the issue has not been done. And even the process of passing the bill in the National Assembly in both houses left much to be desired.
So you simply do not want devolution, and the fact that state police is a first step in devolution is a problem.
Do not impute on my tongue what I have not said.
Okay.
What I'm saying is address the problems here before you relocate the same problems to the states and create more.
But those problems will never be addressed, sir.
Mr.
They'll never be addressed.
You know, my reading of this conversation is that you are contradicting yourself. And I speak as, you know, from an...
In what way?
Just hold on. I speak from an educated point. Now, you say on one hand that in principle you agree with the idea of state police. Now you are saying it's rushed.
No objection.
Yeah, you are saying it's rushed. You are saying, oh, the process is flawed. The only process that it can follow is what is prescribed in the Constitution, Section 9. If you want to alter, amend, or review any part of the Constitution, you follow what Section 9 says. National Assembly approval, then the concurrence of the states, at least 24 of them. That's what is being followed. Now, what I will expect you to talk about, you say people have not been consulted. We now have a framework bill, national policing bill, that the gentleman who was here, Mr. Mogalu, was talking about. He says there will be consultation. Now, what do you recommend as the way forward? So, since you agree in principle, let's establish that. Now, the way forward, this and this and this is what we want as stakeholders in this business. You still have the opportunity in the 2 weeks that the working group has given to make inputs, you know, and I guess having this interview is part of intervention. But don't say on one hand you agree with state police, and on the other hand, you are just bringing up other issues that violate, you know, the principle you already established. I don't know whether you get me, my point, you know.
Well, fairly, because what you are saying is there is a contradiction in what I have said.
Yes.
There is no contradiction. What I'm saying is we accept the state police, but conditions. The point is not for or against. It's about condition. The conditions are not met properly because you have mentioned the National Assembly, which has done its part and now it has gone to the states. But even the first that we are talking about is not complete. I mean, not complete, but it's not done properly because the consultation aspect is not there. And even the process of passing the bill has issues. If you look at what has happened in the lower chamber, and we were disappointed in what has happened in the National Assembly because the process was not followed. The clause by clause consideration was avoided, and we respect those members who raised objection to that. That is, and when it was passed without clause by clause consideration, they actually walked out. And this public protest by representatives of the people is telling to the issue of passing the bill as we have mentioned. So it has not satisfied that aspect. And even the Senate itself, when confronted with similar issues, the leadership only criticized the opposition, that they have failed the test of opposition democracy in Nigeria. So what we are saying is there has to be genuine public hearing, because public hearing is the flow of democratic consultation. It's not the ceiling.
Okay. Just two slight corrections. Now, in a democracy, you never have a situation where there will be universal consensus. So in the House of Reps, it's the House of Reps you were referring to. It was the minority caucus that staged the walkout. In a democracy, the majority will always have its way.
That is because their own laws were not respected. Their own laws, the laws of the House, in such issues were in the modus operandi was not respected.
Okay, yes, and that point, thank you very much. That's a very valid point. But the question I'd like to ask you, going back, I believe, to the first question that was asked is, if your group has been able to actually go through the provisions of the constitutional amendment, and what specific areas you have a disagreement with, or you believe should, or certain areas that were omitted based on that, beyond the broader, because you already said it that you're in agreement with state police, it was a process that was flawed. Now that you have an opportunity to contribute to the process, it's not yet law, it still has to go to the state houses of assembly, there's still a framework legislation that's still going on. So you have an opportunity to actually contribute to the process. What would those things be? What would you ask to be included or removed from the bill?
We are going to take part in whatever is established that opinions are needed, as I have listened and heard you mention. But the most important point is to make sure that the people are carried along. The people are carried along, and the problems in the current system are addressed. That is what the council is emphasizing. The problems in the current system must be addressed, and addressed fully, before we move to the states. Otherwise, we will only be taking the problems from the center to the states, and that will not solve our concern or problems or save lives.
I think we're past that stage. I think we are now at the stage of the states, actually. So that's what I'm asking. We're at the stage of the National Assembly has passed, so the state houses of assembly, it's been transmitted. So that's at that point where the changes you want can be made. And that's why I thought, okay, you could use this platform to actually express some of your, the areas that you'd like to see changes in. That's why, that this would have presented a great opportunity for you to do that.
Of course, in the era of training, there has to be training, there has to be legislative oversight, there has to be transparent, merit-based recruitment, and professional training standards for the police force, and judicial and legislative oversight, and sustainable funding, because funding is the problem. Funding is the problem that has caused a lot of issues with the current system that operates, because a divisional police officer has been reported to operate on a quarterly budget of 15 to 30,000 naira. That is why you have the issue of corruption, and that is why even one of the bosses of an anti-corruption agency was affected by the false or unauthorized checkpoint whereby he was extorted. So unless we look at the remuneration aspect of the police, then we will go back to this problem.
Okay, sir. Sir, I have a question I want you to educate me on, and I want to learn from you, sir.
Okay.
If we talk about devolution, and you have your quibbles about devolution, but there are also states where you have moral police.
Maybe I will order that with.
No, I've not finished my point, sir. There are also states where we have.
Okay.
There are also states where we have moral police, which is a form of devolution. So, what's the challenge with this form of devolution and the state police devolution?
Are you done?
Yes, sir.
The state police and the issue of taking the center back to the states. A recent analysis found out that 5 out of 6 states do not have the physical discipline to fund their police force. So this type of arrangement in states where they are not able to pay salaries, they are diverting security votes. They are owing pensioners. Now, you want to empower them with armed forces. So we have to look at that as well, where people who are not able to do this, we should look at that very well before we now take the police to the states.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much. I believe that, and that's the point of conversations like this, we hope that your group would be able to take part in the process, whether at state level or with the National Policing Bill. Thank you for your time with us today.